All right, welcome. We're diving right in to get you prepped for the sampling portion of your ACI Field Grade I exam, all based on the ASTM C-172 standard. And let's be clear, this isn't just another test you have to learn. This is the absolute foundation. If you get the sample wrong, every single test you do after that, slump, air, cylinders, it's all invalid. So getting this right isn't just important, it's everything. So think about it for a sec. Before you even think about measuring slump or air or temperature, what is the one thing you have to do first? You got it. It's getting a proper representative sample. And that is exactly what we are going to nail down today. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about the why, what a representative sample even is. Then we'll cover the lingo and the gear you need. After that, it's the step-by-step procedure, the time limits you absolutely have to know, and we'll finish up with what the examiner is looking for, so there are no surprises on test day. Okay, let's start with the big picture. Why is this so critical? You know, it's not just about checking a box on a form. This is the very bedrock of quality control out in the field. Every single valid test you'll ever run starts right here. The manual itself says it best. Think about what this means. The validity of your slump test, your air test, your strength tests, it all comes down to this one procedure. If you mess up the sample, you could do the most perfect air test in the world, and it would still be completely useless. For your exam, that means you failed before you've even started the other tests. All right, let's get into the terminology. To pass this thing, you've got to speak the language of ASTM. Knowing these next few terms is totally non-negotiable for both the written part and the hands-on performance test. Okay, first up, composite sample. This is a huge concept on the exam. It basically means you never ever just take one big scoop of concrete from the truck. You are required to take multiple smaller portions and then blend them all together. That's how you create one single sample that actually represents the whole batch. Another big one is wet screening. It sounds fancy, but it's simple. If the rock and the concrete, the aggregate, is too big for the test you're about to run, you have to screen it out. We'll get to the exact sizes you need to know in just a bit. Now, before you even lay a hand on that concrete, you gotta have your PPE. Safety is always number one, right? But it's also the very first thing an examiner is gonna notice. Don't throw away easy points on something this basic. Your tools are simple, but the details here really matter. Look at that last point. This is a biggie. Your wheelbarrow or bucket must be non-absorbent. Why? Well, imagine using a dry wooden wheelbarrow. It could actually suck water right out of your sample, changing the results. An examiner sees that, that's an automatic fail. Okay, let's get our hands dirty, metaphorically of course. We're gonna walk through the exact steps for taking a sample, starting with the core process and then the specific rules for different kinds of mixers you'll see on the job. At its heart, the whole process is really this simple. You obtain your portions, you combine them in your wheelbarrow, and you remix them with a shovel. Obtain, combine, remix. No matter the mixer type, these three steps have to happen to get that valid composite sample. Okay, I take a mental snapshot of this slide right now because these are guaranteed exam questions. For a ready mix truck, you're sampling from the middle third of a load. For a paving mixer, it's at least 5 different spots. And for a stationary mixer, your bucket has to pass through the entire stream of concrete. Knowing these cold is absolutely critical. Now, this table might look like something you just have to memorize, but think of it as your decision-making tool in the field. Here's how you use it. First, you figure out what test you're about to run, say an air content test with a pressure meter. Then you look at the table. Okay, the max aggregate size is 2 inches. Then you look at your concrete. Is the rock bigger than that? That's what tells you what to do next. And that leads us to this hard and fast rule. If the rock in your sample is bigger than what's allowed on that table for your specific test, you have to wet screen it. There are no exceptions. This is a key step that shows the examiner you're not just a robot. You're thinking critically. All right, let's talk about the thing that trips up so many people, the clock. With fresh concrete, time is not on your side. The second you get that sample, the stopwatch starts, and there are 2 key deadlines you just have to burn into your memory. This graphic from the manual shows the timeline perfectly. See where it says collect samples? The moment you're done with that, the clock is officially ticking. So let's break down those 2 deadlines you have to know. 5 minutes, that's your first magic number. From the second your composite sample is ready to go, you have 5 minutes max to begin your slump, temperature, and air content tests. Now notice the word is begin, not complete. That's a super important distinction the examiner will be listening for. 15 minutes. This is your second and final deadline. It starts at the exact same moment as the first one. You have a total of 15 minutes to begin making your cylinders or beams. So the two numbers are 5 minutes for the initial tests, 15 minutes for the strength specimens. You gotta know them.
And during this whole 15-minute window, you've got another crucial job. You have to protect your sample. If you just leave it sitting out in the hot sun or whipping wind, it's going to lose moisture. That'll change the slump, it'll change everything, and it will invalidate all of your tests. So cover it up.
Okay, for our final section, let's pull back the curtain and look at exactly how you're going to be graded. This is all about the ACI performance checklist, so you'll know precisely what the examiner has on their clipboard. This right here is a huge tip, straight from the source. The exam isn't just about doing the steps. You have to be able to explain what you're doing and why. The examiner is going to ask you direct questions, and you need to be ready with the answers. So get ready for a Q&A session. They'll ask, how many portions do you take from a truck? You say 2 or more. They'll ask, from where in the batch? You say, from the middle. They are literally checking off boxes to make sure you know these rules by heart. And the questions will keep coming. You need to know the minimum sample size for strength tests. That's 1 cubic foot. You need to know the max time you have to collect all your portions. That's 15 minutes. And you've got to be able to say on the spot what you do before testing, combine and remix, and what you do if the rock is too big, wet-sieving. So the real question is, are you ready? Because mastering these steps, these terms, these time limits, it's not just about passing a test. It's about understanding this single most important skill that ensures the quality and safety of concrete construction. Get the sample right, and every single test that follows is valid. That's the goal. Get it perfect every single time.